Here is a discussion on Bhagavad Gita for All lectures and talks with Nala Narula and visitors. Chapter 10, The Infinite Opulence of the Absolute.
All is very clear. So how will you continue to act in Krishna consciousness as healers? Tell me, what is your practical plan for acting in this consciousness of serving? Start with service to Krishna. So how do you serve Krishna as a healer? What is your understanding of that? How are you serving Krishna as a healer?
We do our own healing, we do healing for others, and we cover every activity and everything we think and everything around us with the healing.
Right. But you must also now increase your knowledge to understand that you are working directly with Krishna's energies and that this is as a service to Krishna. So there is no personal motivation that much. So then you become a little bit detached, not only from the results, which is the fourth principle of Reiki, that you do your work honestly, leave the results. The third and fourth principle, you do not get upset if the results are not coming, because you are doing your job as a healer in the service of Krishna. And he is saying, I deliver to people the results, because I am sitting in everyone's hearts as the Paramatma. I am guiding them. So your job is just to channel the healing energy. Okay, that's good. What else?
We have the understanding that the purpose of the healing is not just to get the result that we are asking for, but it's just to make everything karma consequence free, and that is the goal, and so that is the goal that we are working with.
Right. That is a very important understanding. That's good. That actually, whether the result comes in the way we want it or we don't want it, it has come in some different way, we are getting karma consequence free in the process of doing our healing service. Very good. Anybody else?
Priya says, by healing myself and by sending, and because he wants us to come back home, and by doing what we are closer to going back home. Mansi says, by sending healing to ourselves and others. Shipra says, why is it everyone originating from Lord Krishna's thought do not come with awareness of who he is, including demigods?
Because they are conditioned souls. Even the demigods are conditioned. They are not free of illusion.
Bhavani says, please consolidate the whole thing, and Mikesh would like to answer.
Would like to answer something? Yes? He wants to speak, is it?
About the practical aspect of how to continue from here, what to do and how to implement it. I see that the genuine intention to start and doing what is necessary and following your guidance and the Lord Krishna's guidance of what to do is, I think, what is making the difference between the people who are able to do something or can know about the Lord and the people who do not, because he is opening the understanding to him from the people's willingness to understand him.
Yes, there is going to be a difference between the two. That there may be people who are doing the healing process as people were earlier without knowing the source, without knowing that they were actually engaging in Krishna's service. And those who are qualified enough now know this. So they're moving to a different level. So those who are doing this without complete knowledge can easily fall away from it, which is how healers fall away from this practice from time to time. But those who are having a deeper knowledge, deeper understanding, they're actually buddhiman, the ones with the intelligence to know the difference between the material and the spiritual. And they will definitely progress much faster. So the ultimate point of progress is the minimum point, I would say, of launching yourself into the spiritual is from this understanding that you are doing everything for the service of Krishna, who is the source of all sources, who is the supreme master of all the worlds, the spiritual and the material. And by engaging in his service, you are gradually becoming binding consequence karma free, and you will attain to him eventually. So that is the proper understanding. So those who are attending these seminars, those who are engaging with us, to get to know this knowledge, and they're actually working with this consciousness, they will progress very much faster. And you will find that as you develop in this knowledge, you are also going to become more and more detached from many things that come your way. So then you go back to this text of Krishna's where he is stating that what are the qualities and characteristics of people of different types. He talks about intelligence, he talks about knowledge in the text 4 and 5, buddhir jnanam sammoha, and so on, and that you become more forgiving, you are more truthful. All those positive qualities start happening. You are more in control of your senses, of the mind. You are happy, you are satisfied. The distress aspect starts to reduce because you have a bigger picture. You see the totality of creation, you see how things are happening. You also become free from the fear of birth and death and so on, because you know that you are never extinguished. Just like Master Yusui had the realization he was never going to be extinguished, even when the star came and it burst on his forehead. And you will be in equilibrium, you will be satisfied. The main thing is tushti, satisfaction. So with whatever you have, to be satisfied with that, not meaning it in a negative way in the sense of becoming inactive or having no aspiration. Your aspiration then becomes, let me serve Krishna only. Whatever is in the line of serving his cause as a service to Krishna, let me engage in that. And that is the bhav, the nature that Krishna will give you to encourage you further, and he will remove the darkness and the ignorance and so on. So whether there is fame or infamy or positive, negative, all those things are going to be taken care of. They are happening, but you are not going to be affected if you are focused on Krishna's service. Anything else?
Shloka, she says, grateful sir, that is why knowing about the source of healing has naturally motivated to include more and more people into the healing and affirmations.
Right, good. Yes.
Bhavani has a question. Bhavani, go ahead and ask your question.
Good morning, Master.
Good morning.
Master, one who knows me, he's used it so many times. He said it so many times.
Yes.
So how do we understand how he, I mean, it's as we know him as the source, but we don't know more than what so far we've been understanding about him. So
yes, so you have to, he says, people, you discuss amongst yourselves, talk about his pastimes, you discuss what is happening, or in other words, find literature that talks about his pastimes and what he does, with the understanding that he is the supreme of all sources, of all supreme source of everything. So you have literatures that are available that are giving you this information. So you can read, the Bhagavatam is entirely devoted to his pastimes, and particularly the 10th canto, but we don't recommend you jump to the 10th canto straight away. You look at Bhaktivedanta Swami has published, the Bhaktivedanta Book Trust has published some very nice books about Krishna's pastimes separately, even as children's books. So those are nice to read, what he does, what are his pastimes. But the Bhagavatam is entirely a depiction of what his activities are in various incarnations and various aspects of his self, which is unlimited. And so you have this huge literature, thousands of shloks, which are devoted to discussing and enumerating the qualities of Krishna's activities in various forms, in his various avatar forms. So you can study those and go ahead.
But knowing him as in now, like every day, we are relating with whatever we are doing, and we know, just knowing that it's coming for him. Is that also knowing?
Yeah, that is
Or
knowing.
maybe
Yes,
when we
that is
speak
also
to
knowing.
him, that's knowing.
Yes, that is also knowing. That Anadi, the word Anadi, that means without beginning, it also means before Ana. Ana is also a word for the breath of creation. So even before the first breath of creation took place, he was there. So as you are breathing, also you can connect with him that this is the breath that is given to me by Krishna. So there are many ways that you can connect. So when you have this automatic mantra going on, which is Soham, when you take the in and the out breath, Soham, that is, I am not this body, I am the spirit, I am the spirit. So that breath itself is the creative breath which has been given to you by Lord Krishna. So that is important to connect with. So there are various ways that you can connect with this understanding of knowing Krishna, that you are breathing Krishna's energies that have been given to you. So there are...
Because he says the sages, sorry?
Yeah, the sages and the demigods do not know his qualities.
The sages don't know me.
No.
And when we related to simple people, the sages who seem to concentrate on so much of time and knowledge about him.
Because they have tried to...
Even they don't know me.
Yeah, because the knowledge is not
Where
what...
do we stand?
Yeah, the sages and the demigods are trying to know Krishna through analysis and speculation. So if somebody is trying to know Krishna through analysis and speculation, it's not happening. So you have to know by realization and by understanding who he is, and a person can understand him if he is directly in service, because the senses are imperfect. So no matter which way you analyze, those defects will manifest in your analysis also. So if you just understand by realization, without envy, without doubt, so the qualities are that you need to understand him in a state of openness and acceptance. And that way you will come to him very quickly. I'll give you an example of this, that in Vrindavan, when their gopis were there, very devoted to Krishna, because they were just sold out to him, so to speak, completely. And the gopis' husbands, who were the Brahmins, they were doing big yagyas to propitiate Vishnu and Krishna. And the gopis already knew who he was. So Krishna said, the gopis are far more advanced than these Brahmins, because they're all speculators and they're following ritualistic procedures. But these people have actually given their heart to me, and they are in my service. So they are the most advanced of devotees. So that is the mood that you have to develop when you engage in Krishna conscious activity, even your healing activity. So it is not that if the sages didn't understand and the demigods didn't understand, we can't understand. No. We can understand because we have this spiritual connection which allows us this knowledge manifestation within us. We are doing activities that allow us to develop this understanding. If you also think of Lord Indra, the Lord of Heaven, he didn't know who Krishna was. He himself did not know who Krishna was, and it had to be shown to him that Krishna is actually the source of everything. So demigods don't really know who Krishna is. So which is why Krishna is saying that do not follow them. Whatever they are able to give you, it is only because of me, as I have given that sanction. Otherwise, they have no power of their own. Absolutely, nobody has. So any powers that you have, any qualities that you have, are manifestations of Krishna's... Don't interrupt, please. You can ask a question. I'm speaking, so let me complete my thought process. Then you may ask. Okay. So yeah. So the question is that. What is that? So when you need to ask a question, you can indicate on the thing. So we are going to mute people who are habitually interrupting. So they can just indicate they have a question, and then we will answer them. So the point is that when a person who is studying the science of Krishna, the art of Krishna, and engaged in Krishna conscious activity, starts to get the knowledge. The demigods are not into that, nor are the sages into that. They are doing other things, but they are not doing things in Krishna consciousness. If they start doing things in Krishna consciousness, yes, they will also get elevated, and to the point where Krishna will liberate them and give them that knowledge. So that is the difference. So as long as you have this basic understanding and you develop it further through a non-speculative process. So anyone, Krishna says in text 3 of chapter 10, that he who knows me as Ajam, unborn, Anadim, without beginning, and as we mentioned, that Ana also means the breath of creation, and that he has breathed life into all living entities. And one who knows the source of that is me. For example, if you look at if you talk to a doctor, they cannot trace the source of the power of your heart beating. There is absolutely no reason why your heart should beat. There is no known source, and that source is the Paramatma and the Atma that are sitting there. And once they leave, then the heart will stop beating. So, till today, the electrical impulses, that how they are generated, there may be a technical, analytical study of it. But what is actually the source of that power, they are not able to tell, because material science cannot approach it. So when you understand that there is the spiritual power of the Reiki energy, what we call Reiki, the life force, it's that life force energy that is keeping you alive in this body. And when that life force is leaving, the body is not working anymore, because the power for the body is gone. So you can look at it in very many different ways to come to this understanding that the key point is asamudha, without a doubt, absolutely without a doubt, that one who knows Krishna to be the origin of everything, the supreme Loka Maheshwaram, the master of all universes, of all living entities, spiritual, material, and he knows this without doubt. Then those who are martiyeshu, subject to this cycle of birth and death, Krishna says, Sarva pape pramuchyate. I will deliver you from these sinful reactions, which means coming back to the material zone and a life of suffering and so on and so forth. Such a person is freed from sin. Anyone else? Yeah.
Take the focus from the solitary inverted comma I and immerse it into / with Lord Krishna as the inverted comma I in Krishna. Krishna.
Yeah, but you are not Krishna. So this is the delusion that can happen very quickly. I am Krishna. So that is not happening. Okay. So anyone else had a question? Yes, go ahead. Yes, go ahead.
So I've read in Master's post that whatever we should do, we should first offer it to Krishna. This was in fact my understanding when I was...
You do everything as an offering to Krishna, yes.
So the offering has to be a thought process or physical offering.
When you say Reiki's will be done, it is Krishna's will be done. So I'm offering it to Krishna, I'm offering it through Reiki, that let Krishna's will be done, I'm offering this work, and as you decide, please let the result happen and please make this successful, whatever it is that you are asking for.
Okay.
So that is the basic process of offering something to Krishna. Then there are other ways of offering things to Krishna. That you Reiki your food, you Reiki your activities, that I'm offering my activity to Krishna, please make it whole and complete, please make it healed, whole and complete. What does that mean? Make it purified. So the result is ultimately inconsequential. I am getting results sometimes. That is enough like carrot to keep me going forward on the path. And other times I'm not getting the result. Sometimes I'm getting a danda, which is also okay. So it depends. Krishna says, depending on where you are, I will walk you through the whole process. So in the bad time, in the good time, in any kind of time, Krishna is walking us through the process.
Okay.
So the basic simplified understanding is that when you say Reikis will be done, Reiki is coming from Krishna. It is Krishna's breath, it is Krishna's energy, it is Krishna's light, it is our life force coming from Krishna. So we are having a communication channel to Krishna through this means.
Okay.
And we are working with it now. We are doing some silly things, undoubtedly, some stupid things. But Krishna has said earlier also that even if a person commit the most abominable of actions, if he is rightly situated, he is to be considered sadhu, rightly placed. And he is considered to be a devotee. He may do any nonsense. Why? Because it's the push of his past karmas. But his intentions are good. In fact, and how are they good? Because he's actually trying to act in that way. He's moving with these qualities of sama, dhamma, trying to control his senses, control his mind. They're not easy to control. So if he's regulating himself, to whatever extent he can regulate himself, he is on the path. He is going ahead. He doesn't have to be absolutely sanctified, holier than thou, pure, what people are showing themselves in TV and in front of you, that, some person following some religious, spiritual path, yogic path, is a very highly developed, pure person. Not at all. He is trying, he is on the way. We do not know how pure or impure he is. We will give them some respect, undoubtedly, because they may have achieved things that we have not able to do. They are superior in that way, which is fine. But I don't need to be overawed by them, because they are also practitioners going in a particular direction. If they do not follow the path of Krishna consciousness, then they are to be rejected in any case, because they are not helpful to us in our journey, and they are distractions, or they are going to be obstructions. So when you run off to demigods, when you run off to sadhu babas, when you go to astrologers, when you go to all these things, you are actually creating a distraction and some kind of an obstacle for yourself, which you have to be very careful, because those are then generating fear. So when you associate with that kind of thing, it's a fear-based situation. Here the fear comes that, if I am so free, then I am responsible, so that is fear-making. You come to the other extreme, that, okay, nobody else is going to, it's my responsibility. So then you become afraid, of doing something which is going to get you some consequence that you'll suffer from. But Krishna has given you the solution here in this chapter 10. He's saying that you must associate with each other. He has used that word, that you must discuss amongst yourselves, that you should talk about Krishna's pastimes, talk about his qualities, and discuss. Let me find that shlok. Parasparam, amongst themselves. Text number 9. Mat chitta mat gata prana bodhiyanta parasparam kathayanta cha mam nityam tushyanti cha ramanti cha. So, with their minds fully engaged in me, with their lives devoted to the service of Krishna, mat gata prana. Prana is life breath. So again, breath is very important. So everything you say, you do, you're chanting the Maha Mantra, you're invoking the Reiki energy, you're saying the Reiki mantras, bodhayanta, preaching, parasparam, amongst themselves, kathayanta cha, and talking amongst themselves. So we talk to each other also, Preaching doesn't mean that you necessarily go and talk to others outside your circle. There may be junior devotees or junior healers, and you encourage them, you talk to them, and you bring them up. So it is a matter of community again. Very, very important to meet with the community, the sadhu sang, and you preach amongst yourselves, you talk about the kathas about Krishna, talk about me, kathayanta cha mam, nityam tushyanti. They're always pleased to discuss and think about and talk about me, and they enjoy transcendental bliss. Because if you look at it, that Krishna is the greatest hero of them all. Everybody loves a hero story. So Krishna is the greatest hero of all. I mean, all the different pastimes, different activities he has done are very heroic in different forms. So there is variety. Also, it's not just one boring, I have to focus on one aspect only. There are myriads of aspects. As a baby, what he did, then, as a grown-up, what he did, as a youth, what he did. He never went beyond 16. So and then his various incarnations, what activities they did. So there are some awe-inspiring ones, there are some fear-inspiring ones, there are some absolutely hilarious ones. All the moods are taken care of in that. So one endlessly can focus one's mind, because Krishna has said earlier also in the earlier chapters, which is chapter 7 I think it was, whatever you think of at the time of death, that's where you're going. So we have said this many times over the years, that your final thoughts, your final consciousness, whatever it is, you will attain accordingly. So that's your final exam at the point of death. So when you practice in life about it, then you'll be focusing on that, not focusing on your bank account, or as somebody said, the ATM consciousness. Money, money, money all the time. It's other things also. Okay? Because money, money, money all the time, you could end up being a beggar at the traffic light, Anyone else?
One
Last
question from Nidhi.
Okay, last question.
Those who have knowledge of Krishna are here for what reason? Question mark. Is it conclude their path or get more involved? Question mark again. And then it says gratitude with folded hands.
Okay. People who have knowledge of Krishna are here to get knowledge of Krishna. They didn't come with the knowledge of Krishna, they received it. So when they are here, they are gathering knowledge because they are prepared for it, they are qualified for it, and Krishna has made the arrangement for them to get that knowledge. And if they are intelligent enough to activate that aspect, then they will progress further. And what was the second part of the question?
Does it conclude their path or get more involved?
Well, at the end of this, as you get more and more involved in Krishna conscious activity, you end from the material zone. Then you do not come back to the place of birth and death. Krishna had mentioned earlier that in all the planetary zones, two things are there: old age and death. Birth and disease may not be present in the higher planets, but old age and death are. And they are transformative processes, which are a little different from death. So, these two constants include all the others. So there may be, to any extent, birth, death, old age and disease. These are the four aspects of the karma syndrome. The janam, mrityu, jara, vyadhi, four things. So you will get liberated from these four that way. In this life, you will go through many things, and ultimately you will die of some disease. Everyone does. Some problem is going to happen, which will make your body uninhabitable for the spirit, and you will leave. And the consciousness that you leave that body in is very important. So a person who has been ill for a while before dying is always good, because eventually he gets fed up of the body and he wants to leave, and his thoughts are then more focused on the divine. So we have very many cases like that. People say, grandfather used to say, okay, now I'm seeing this one, I'm seeing that one. I don't want to eat anymore, I don't want any water, I'm just fine. Then he will just pass away in that consciousness. So presumably they've gone to a higher place. Okay? So we will conclude here at 11, I think we have completed. Yes. So we conclude at text 11 of chapter 10 of Bhagavad Gita. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Okay, thank you all for coming, and we say goodbye to the internet community. Bye-bye, have a great weekend. In Krishna consciousness or Christmas consciousness, which one? Okay, bye-bye.
You've been listening to Bhagavad Gita for All, a practical guide for everyday life, a lecture series by Nalan Narula.